Hey, what's going on? Zach here today from PremiumBeat.com. Today we're going to be talking about how to do swipe transitions by animating still photographs. So we're going to achieve something that looks like this. I'm going to show you two different ways to get this swipe transition. The first way is by animating past a pole, and then the second way is using a vehicle. Now these two techniques are similar in their end goal, but both of them are animated slightly differently. So that's why I'm going to show you the two different approaches. So without further ado, let's go into it. So open up your editing software of choice, mine being Premiere Pro CC. Now I've shot some footage here, which I've got like this road here with the cars driving by, and I think this is actually a pretty good example. So I'm going to make my in point here, and we'll make our out point here, and then we're just gonna drag and drop it into our timeline. So we have this shot, and now it's time to find our second shot. This one's pretty cool here. This guy like riding his bike up the hill. Why don't we use that? Okay, so drag and drop that into your footage. So now you have this cut to this. So the first thing we're gonna do, I'm just gonna delete the audio. The third asset that you're gonna need is that still image that you're gonna animate. Now luckily when I shot this footage, I actually have this shot. Oh, there's me, hey, it's me. I have this shot of a pole here. So what you're gonna do is you're going to press this camera in the bottom corner here, and that is going to make a still image from this photo, and we're just gonna press OK. That makes the still image, and we're just gonna drag and drop it over the top. Now we have a still image of a post. So if we press play, it goes from this to that. Just a random still post. Not doing anything, it's just still. Freeze frame post. Oh my God, that sounds like a production company. Freeze frame post, because it's like post-production. Okay, so the next thing that we're gonna do is create a mask around this bad boy. That's the first thing of this whole dealio, since we're gonna be animating it. Under your opacity, you're gonna see a little pen tool here. We're gonna click that. I clicked it twice. You're gonna click that, it's gonna create a mask. So once we have our mask selected out, we are going to now make a mask around this post. Now, posts are actually pretty easy to mask, so it's not gonna take too much time. Ba-ba-da-ba, ba-ba-da-ba. Collect all four corners of that post, and now we have this bad boy. The next thing that you wanna do with that post is actually scale it up, because essentially you wanna emulate reality. So if we're actually passing by a post within this shot, it's gonna be much closer to the camera. And the closer you can get your animating image to camera, the better, because you want it to fill frame as it passes by. So let's zoom it in just a little bit more, and that looks pretty good. So, and that looks about to scale. It's a little bit crooked, so we might just kind of straighten it up a bit. Cool, so now we got a little bit straighter of a pole here. So within my footage, I'm moving from right to left. So that means whatever goes animating past the camera is going to go into the opposite direction. So that's left to right. And remember that rule for all your footage. So if you're going from left to right with your camera pan, make sure your animation goes from right to left. Pretty easy rule. So with that in mind, let's move our post all the way over to the left side of the frame. And now we're going to press this stopwatch guy, and that's going to create a keyframe. Now I'm gonna move forward about 10 frames, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'm just going to slide it all the way over to the other side. So if we press play now, what's gonna happen is this. That is super fast, and that moves way out of sync than what our footage actually is going at. So the best thing about this is you can move your keyframe marker to change the speed at which your animating wipe goes by. And you want it to be in sync with how fast your footage is going. If the post goes by super fast, it's just gonna seem really weird, and we're gonna be like, oh, what is that? So you want it to be at the same time. So I'm just gonna stretch this the whole way out and slow it down. Let's see how this plays out. That feels pretty good. I'm actually gonna slow it down just a tiny bit more by just pulling it over to the right a bit. If we press play, that feels pretty good. So if we look, our animation starts right here. So what you wanna do is actually drag and pull that up into the third line of video. Now take this to the second, and then with your lower layer or your second shot, bring it in so that it goes underneath your first shot. And make sure that they all go underneath your animation. Okay, so now it's time to mask the bottom layer. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can do it by a mask or by a crop. And what I'm gonna do is actually use a crop because we have a pretty straight image here. So go into your effects, type in crop. We're gonna drag and drop that over top of our top layer here. Boom, that's gonna do absolutely nothing. Go to the middle of our frame here and take the crop, and we're going to slide the left panel out like so. And we're gonna make a keyframe marker right there. Now we're gonna go to the very beginning of our shot and slide the left keyframe marker all the way to the very beginning. So if we press play now, we're gonna go down to the very ending and slide it out so that it's just underneath the pole at the very ending. So that way, we are now swiping to reveal the bottom layer. And if we press play, we get something that looks like that. Pretty cool, right? Now, the only thing that for me stands out is this post just kind of pops out a bit too much. It's a little too bright, and maybe it's not blurry enough. So what I'm gonna do is actually just add a quick Gaussian blur. You want your animated image in the top to integrate as well as it can within your setting. So we're gonna add a little bit of blurriness. That's probably good. And then I'm just going to add, I'm gonna go into my Lumetri color on it, and I'm just gonna darken it slightly so it blends in. And now if we press play on this footage, we got this. Pretty cool, I know, right? That's like the coolest thing ever. Second one we're gonna do is an animated car, which is actually a lot easier than this one. I'm gonna show you why. So again, let's just open up a brand new sequence file, new sequence, bam, bam, and let's get our shots. So I'm gonna actually use, let's see here, a nice little, let's say we wanna do a nice intro shot. So it's like, oh, Jungle City Pet Shop. Let's grab it, drag and drop it into our timeline. And then the next thing that we're gonna do is grab our second shot, which is going to be this beautiful shot of me, which you saw earlier. Isn't this weird? The shot of me is in this and, okay. So let's make our in and out points here, drag and drop it into our timeline and slide it right beside our first shot. And the nice thing about this is you're not actually doing any masking with the footage below. You're just doing a brush by in the foreground. So if we press play, it's gonna go from this to that. I'm gonna just delete the audio again because audio is annoying right now. Okay, your final layer that you're gonna add in is a image of a vehicle passing by. Now, this is actually a well-known technique in Edgar Wright movies. He does car brush bys all the time, and actually a lot of movies do this. So I have a shot, I think here, of a car across the street, and it's a video layer here. So I gotta make sure that there's no cars passing by it. So that's actually a good moment there. We're gonna make a nice little photograph of it using that camera tool again, press OK, and then we're gonna drag and drop it into our timeline, boom. So the next thing we wanna do is go into mask, like what we did before, mask. So grab the mask, go into opacity, click mask, which is this little pen tool, and we are going to go around our car with the mask. Now don't judge my masking abilities, as I'm doing this super duper quick. And boom, now we've masked out our car. Look at it, it's like a little floating car within the frame. Anyway, that kind of stuff entertains me. Now we're gonna just add a bit of a feather to our mask and boom, we have a floating vehicle. Okay, so what we wanna do is scale this guy up so that it fills pretty much most of our frame. And basically what we're gonna do is move the position across so it goes from this and drives by. So go to the top of your clip, press position, and we're gonna slide this all the way over so it's just out of frame. And then we're gonna move forward about 10 frames. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're gonna just move the position the whole way across so that our car moves from side to side. Boom. Now, depending on your image size or the speed you want to go for or the scale of your vehicle passing by really depends on your parameters of your position. So now that we've done that, if we press play, we get like a like that. Now, it seems like it's going a little too fast. So again, like with our last bit, we can stretch out our keyframe markers so that our animation slows down. So we get something like that. So that's not bad. We want to make sure that when the car fills the frame up the most, that is where our transition happens. So let's slide this over to where our two shots blend, and if we press play, that's a little out of sync. So let's go back and just find a good spot where it passes by in the middle. So that's our middle spot here, so I just need to slide it over about 2 frames. You get something like that. Now, what we can do is actually scale up the car slightly. So if we make it just a little bit bigger, we get this now. And like what we did before, we can even just make it a little bit darker so it's less recognizable in the foreground. Having good sound design within these kind of moments actually animates really well within your footage, so having the sound of like a car driving by actually sells the effect way better. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Zach here from PremiumBeat.com. If you guys like this video and want to check out more, give the channel a subscribe, and I'll see you in another tutorial.